Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go. Woo!
All right, Darren Doogie Wolfson here from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. Get your mugs. Cheers to the Vikings and their quarterback room, which they are. They're being much more proactive here, timing-wise, putting together a viable quarterback room than a year ago. And so we can talk about, now that we've had some time to digest some of these quarterback moves here, but a couple shout-outs. On Monday, the 2026 Purple Daily Draft Party, presented by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Tickets go on sale noon Central Time on Monday, this coming Monday, March 23rd at scorenorth.com/draft party. We are super pumped for this 5th annual event, also supported by Roku and Grandpa's Barbecue at Mystic Lakes Hop House. If you want to join us for the most fun, biggest celebration of this football team, this podcast audience, tickets available, VIP level and general admission, Monday, March 23rd at noon Central Time at scorenorth.com/draft party. Bookmark it, set a calendar alert, because we believe these tickets are going to sell out. And Dex, we love our friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
Yeah, they power our hottest takes. They make sure my HVAC system's working appropriately and efficiently. So go to standardheating.com. It's March Madness is upon us, so is HVAC Madness right now at Standard Heating. That's right. HVAC Madness, $45 off a furnace tune-up, plus 0% financing available on new equipment. If that equipment's been on the fritz and you need some new stuff, 0% financing is available for customers. So go to standardheating.com and contact them however you'd like. If you don't want to talk to a person over the phone, that's okay. You can email, you can text them. Go to Standard Heating, tell them that Purple Daily sent you, and they'll get your HVAC systems working efficiently.
All right, Dukes, you unpack this however you want to start, but Kyler Murray, since the last time we had you on Purple Daily, Kyler Murray official, Carson Wentz is back, JJ McCarthy still in the room as well. So what are your thoughts on what this room looks like in terms of pecking order? To what extent are there competitions in that pecking order? What do you make of it all?
Well, what I make of it all, Phil, is the order that you just laid out. Murray 1, Wentz 2, McCarthy 3. Now the question is, has the JJ McCarthy Vikings era come to an end? Now, as of this weekend, I haven't heard specific trade buzz. Do I sense that those close to JJ would welcome a change of scenery? I wouldn't dismiss that. Now, on Wentz, I mean, at least at some point in this space, certainly on Channel 5 here in the Twin Cities, it was referenced, the Vikings were going to bring in another quarterback, and Wentz was the most likely. So not surprised by the news on Thursday that dropped that Wentz is back on a 1-year deal. But you can't convince me. Like I saw my buddy Ben Lieber, right? Twin Cities Live, Hubbard Broadcasting's own, tweet that he thinks there's legit competition. No, I'm sorry. Kyler Murray.
Did he? I think he tweeted Carson Wentz is number 1 on, right? Did he not tweet that?
I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
All right.
No.
He's part of the family, Dukes.
Wow,
I know.
You're going against a
Ben's my
fellow
guy.
Hubbard
Yeah,
employee.
a Hubbard employee.
Even though
a guy who puts
Medina,
Hubbard first and
St.
foremost.
Margaret's, Hopkins, there's a battle there. Ben's my guy, right?
Okay.
But no, it's Kyler Murray as the starting quarterback. Now, hey, I get it. Like, you could make a case if you wanted to. You keep JJ McCarthy because, okay, 2 of the 4 years KOC's been in charge, he's had to use 3 quarterbacks. And hey, looking at the Kyler Murray injury history, 4 of the last 5 years, he has missed games. So it's almost inevitable Kyler Murray isn't playing 17 games. But I think at that point, Carson Wentz is the next man up. The question is, can Carson stay healthy? There's still, I saw him on Wednesday at Gophers Pro Day, there's still a sense that they can develop Max Brosmer. Maybe it's more so in the practice squad, but that they haven't given up on Max. I'm just saying, I haven't heard as of this weekend, like any strong buzz that JJ McCarthy is on his way out. Now, hey, let's go with some reckless speculation here this weekend, even though it isn't Thursday. Is there a trade to be worked out where McCarthy goes, some other quarterback comes in? Is it Anthony Richardson or somebody like that? Or do the Raiders just have so many draft picks that the Raiders send a middle round pick and you move on from JJ McCarthy that way? But I'm just saying, as of this weekend, I just haven't heard McCarthy trade buzz.
So can the Vikings, they're trying to convince us, and I don't think that we as a group believe this, but they're trying to say there's going to be a competition in training camp for the starting quarterback job. We all think it's going to be Kyler, but hypothetically, that competition, if it did exist, would be with JJ McCarthy. But if you parade that depth chart out there on the first day of training camp, because I think OTAs, you can get some reads there, but they're not as definitive. But if they parade that depth chart out there on the first day of training camp and McCarthy's 3, I just wonder how they're going to go about handling this, because this goes from, okay, I don't believe you, but McCarthy is the backup, so maybe he's going to push Kyler to, hold on a second here, the number 3 gets barely any reps. So this is going to be, to me, a fascinating balancing act of how the Vikings are going to, what they're going to say, and how that's going to match what they actually do.
I'm with you. Now, we could debate how many reps does Carson Wentz truly need. So can JJ's reps bleed into some of those Wentz reps? But hey, let's go back to Kyler Murray. And hey, Albert Breer, really good detail on Monday. But it's true. There was chatter about, hey, let's see if we can have this thing last beyond 2026. Dialogue with Eric, his agent, and with Kyler specifically, right? Okay, we can't tag you. That's fine. We'll put that in the contract. No problem. But hey, this can be more than a one-year marriage. So you start thinking about the possibility of Kyler Murray being here in 2027, and who knows, maybe even beyond 2027. Where exactly does JJ McCarthy fit? He doesn't, right? Just logically speaking, he doesn't fit.
Yeah, I think what makes it, even if there's a world in which he becomes a good to high-level starting quarterback in the league.
Phil, I'm not giving up, by the way. I know
I'm not either.
Said for a long time, I'm not quite Thor, right? But I've said for a long time I'm bullish on JJ. I'm not giving up on 23-year-old JJ McCarthy, but I'm fully acknowledging a change of scenery could make a ton of sense.
Yeah, and my point is, contractually, the clock has been ticking for 2 years. They have to make a decision in a year and change from now on the 5th-year option. And if he's in a spot right now where he has to climb over Kyler Murray, who the Vikings are telling, as you referenced in meeting, the Vikings wanted to explore a multi-year deal with Kyler Murray in that room. And of course, Kyler said, I want to bet on myself after 1 year. They also believe Carson Wentz can be a viable starter in this system. And so they're bringing him in as insurance. The best case scenario for JJ to get any meaningful playing time is climbing over those guys with such an amazing offseason or injuries. And even if he sits for a while, you're not going to have enough information if he sits for this year to renew for that 5th-year option in 2028. So contractually, it's making less and less sense for him to be on this team much longer, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think you're on to something. Absolutely. Now, I have been trying to find out how JJ looked with John Beck out in Southern California, reached out to John. Unfortunately, John has not gotten back to me. I'd like to hear, is there anything you can point to if you're John Beck, others that maybe were on the field working with JJ over the last couple months that can say, okay, he's made progress here or here or here? I'm waiting to hear some feedback on that. But even so, I still don't see a path to where JJ jumps over Carson Wentz. I just don't see it. There's a reason why they made the move they did on Thursday. It wasn't for Carson to be the number 3 guy. Right. We can debate reps in July and August and how many Carson wants. Fine. But I don't see how you make that move. And hey, buzz going back to the combine that Wentz was their number 1 choice, that they were going to bring in another veteran quarterback. I just don't see how McCarthy then jumps that guy.
And Wentz did have, it sounds like, options, because Frank Reich, who's now with the Jets, wanted to bring him in, I think, as the definitive backup. And by the way, that gives you a chance more than here probably to start. So yeah, I can't believe in the quiet of TCO that they told Carson, you might be the number 3. I would have to think Kyler came here to start. Wentz probably comes here, I think, almost certainly to back up. And so it does create this mystery about, like Phil said, are you going to trade McCarthy when his value is almost like for who he is, nothing? It would help to build that up, but yet it doesn't appear that there's a path to do so. So perhaps they do shop him. It just, there's a lot to this that's going on behind the scenes. I feel like too, that we don't know. And
sure. Yeah.
And that's
we can speculate all we want.
Yeah,
there's
right.
some things we have no idea on, but I mean, JJ's trade value isn't increasing anytime soon.
Correct.
So you just, at this point, think about cutting the cord and saying, we'll take whatever we can. I would think a middle round type draft pick and just say, hey, let's cut our losses. Let's give him an opportunity to move on. Like, because you're not getting like a second or a third round pick a year from now. And hey, Phil's right. I mean, if you're an acquiring team, right? I mean, you want to see what you have. You have a decision to make relatively soon on that 5th-year option. And so, yeah, I'm not dismissing it. Put it that way. I haven't heard buzz as of this weekend, but I'm not dismissing the possibility. Even though behind the scenes there has been some chatter that, hey, we still believe in JJ. We still want to see this thing through.
Yeah.
He's only 23, just turned 23 in January. Let's give him some time. You know, only the 10 starts, this, that. I'm just saying, like, you start thinking about it, and I don't think we can sit here and say 100% that on August 1st, JJ McCarthy is here.
If and when this does blow up completely, I cannot wait to read the story. Like, someone's going to get this story, like the background, because I just refuse to believe that on the surface 10 starts did it. Like, that's 10 starts. We saw 10 starts. We were wrong. You're the number 10 pick, right, Phil? Like, I like the definitive
Confirmed. Yes.
The definitive story about this to me will be so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like there's more to it. Not even feels like. Like, I think there clearly is more. There's more. There feels like there's more tension to it than your standard, 23-year-old who's only made 10 starts. One team that would seem to make some sense if someone's looking to buy low and float a pick, but they only have 5 draft picks this year, the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. They have a first, a second, a third, a fourth, and a 6th round pick. And I think right now Trey Lance is their backup quarterback. Ironically,
they gave pretty good money
perhaps.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's going to be, but somebody would have to say, all right, we want to bring him in as a QB2 and put him in a room with whoever else. What teams would make some sense to take a flyer? And I think it would be like, I keep looking at Pittsburgh, by the way. Here's what could happen. The Steelers could actually do a funny thing and put together the same quarterback room that the Vikings were exploring for a while last year, which is they trade a pick for JJ McCarthy, because right now it's like Mason Rudolph and who's the Ohio State quarterback from a couple years ago. And so they don't really have anyone that they love as a developmental guy.
Yeah, the Kansas State kid. His name is escaping me, right? Kansas State transferred to Ohio State for the 1 year.
Yeah. You bring in Aaron Rodgers for one last ride. With JJ McCarthy, you float like a day 3 pick or something, and Mike McCarthy then gets to spend a year molding things. So there would be some teams that would float. I mean, hell, Josh Rosen was once traded for a 2nd round pick going into his 2nd year, around the same age.
Oh,
like
I think there would be a
old.
market. I mean, I think it's middle round. I mean, we're not talking a 3rd or a 2nd, but yeah, I mean, what about Jesse Minter? His history, right? There was a crossover there at Michigan. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. This is top of head.
Yes. Yep.
With Jesse Minter, new Ravens coach, right? There was some crossover there with JJ. Who's Baltimore's backup quarterback?
Did they bring Huntley back? I feel like they brought Huntley back as a backup.
But, I mean, could he be a possibility there for a later round pick? I mean, I think there would be a market for JJ. I mean, the Raiders do make a good amount of sense in my mind. But you can make a compelling case for 7 other teams too. Like, yeah. I'm positive if the Vikings want to move McCarthy for a day 3 pick, they can do that.
So is everyone on the same page though? Like, if you had, right, we'll go down the line. Yes or no? Does JJ McCarthy start another game with the Vikings ever again?
Go ahead, Dex.
I think yes. I still think yes. I to be honest, I think it's pretty crazy that you are going to punt on a 22-year-old to bring back Carson Wentz because you're scared of your backup quarterback position, and you would rather have Carson Wentz be your backup than a guy who literally led you to 6 wins and a winning streak last year. But because, I don't know, let's bring back Carson. He's so safe. Is Carson Wentz safe? Is he safe? For God's sakes, he shipwrecks games. They left him out to die in the Chargers. Like I fault the Vikings more for Carson than that side. I personally, I don't like it at all. I would rather you keep JJ McCarthy as your backup quarterback than bring in Carson Wentz because you're scared basically to get hurt again.
Because the Vikings are the Vikings, I will say yes as well. Because if he's not traded, he will start because something will go drastically wrong. It just always seems to.
I mean, Max Brosmer found his way onto the field last
So
year.
if he's not traded, and I'm not convinced that I'm on the fence there. Like, I think he could be, but I'm not. I'll just go with yes. Something weird will happen.
I will say no, but in the moment, I'll continue to say there's no trade sense right now on my front. I do go back to, we're not that far removed from the pre-draft evaluation where they were so thoroughly convinced he was a better long-term prospect than Bo Nix. I get it. Drake May was their guy. Plus, they loved Jaden Daniels. But realistically speaking, they were never getting up to 3 or 2. So they then made the determination, JJ is our guy. Think about KOC, all the quarterbacks the last handful of years. He is eliminated. This was KOC's guy, right? Does 10 games change that significantly? Really? Plus, I get it. It's behind the scenes. It's all sorts of different things. But really, the body of work on the field, 10 games, right? Finishing just 8 of the 10. So still questions about durability. But has the opinion shifted that much based on what they thought, 2 years ago? March of 24, pre-draft process? Has it really changed that much? But Phil, I will say no. So I will disagree with Judd and Declan.
I think it's a no. I think it's a no. I think Declan's yes sounds like it's more of I agree logically. Yeah, like it is. I think it's ridiculous to give up after 10 starts on a guy who just turned 23. I think it's absurd, and I understand shifting him to QB2, but I've the last couple of days just been going through @replies on Twitter and the amount of people that are like, why would Carson Wentz coming in, eliminate? Why Carson Wentz? He's garbage. Like, you're thinking as a logical fan who's watched Carson Wentz play for 10 years. The Vikings trust Carson Wentz to operate their offense and to lead a room more than they trust JJ McCarthy right now.
Yep.
Like, I think that's an indisputable fact. Whether that's right or wrong or short-sighted or not is a separate debate. It's what the Vikings think and feel, and for that reason, it feels to me like they are positioning moving completely off JJ McCarthy. Maybe I'm wrong.
Carson Wentz could do more of what Kevin O'Connell wanted last season. No question about it. No question about it. And it's open for debate if Wentz hadn't sacrificed his damn near his life in the Chargers game. It is open for debate when McCarthy would have stepped back in, when and if.
But they don't make the playoffs. That narrative being floated out there
that's ridiculous.
The last couple days, no.
I agree.
Sorry.
I agree.
And hey, Wentz could have played better against the Steelers. He could have played better against the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
No. Uncle on that. Like, behind the scenes, there's some Vikings people floating. It's been out there. I'm just saying.
No, I've seen it.
Wentz doesn't get hurt. That they could have made the play. No. They were making the playoffs with Carson Wentz. I'm sorry.
Okay, I have one more Wentz question on, like a logical question on this. It is March 19th. A year ago, Carson Wentz held out from signing anywhere until almost the start of the season because he was hoping for a spot that would maybe have an open door for him to start. Because Carson, they were talking to Carson Wentz a year ago around this time. It was confirmed later by Kevin O'Connell.
Yes.
And Wentz was like, I might sign as a backup at some point, but I'd rather just wait until training camp to make that decision because, let's see what openings pop up, right? For people that think, I'm looking at just one of many different tweets here over the last whatever period of time. Skull Nation 88. Phil, what are you talking about? I tweeted out that it feels like the JJ McCarthy era is over here. Phil, what are you talking about? Wentz is QB3. Logically asking, if you were Carson Wentz, why would you sign and agree to be QB3 anywhere on March 19th with months until training camp? If your only offers were QB3, where you're likely to not even make the team, wouldn't you just wait a few months and see what the landscape looks like? Like they didn't. I'm guessing they didn't tell him you're QB3. Sign here the week into free agency, right? Unless I'm missing something.
No, I don't think you're missing anything. And keep in mind, his representation also represents Brian O'Neill. Not that an extension is like on the cusp, but an extension is going to happen eventually. His representation has a great relationship with the Vikings front office, right? So they also made the recommendation, hey, Carson, let's steer you back to Minnesota. So, yeah, Phil, I think you're absolutely spot on with everything you just said. With all due respect to Skull Nation 88, I'm not buying it. Yeah.
All due respect,
I love
by the way.
I love the
All due
passion.
respect.
Yeah, I love the passion. Keep engaging with us. We appreciate it, but I don't think Carson was signing here in mid-March to be QB3.
And that's the thing, McCarthy might know his role, but except for McCarthy, I think the roles are defined right now. I think Kyler's your quarterback. I think Carson Wentz is your backup. And I think McCarthy is 3 or, as Phil said, off the roster entirely. I don't think this is, look, first of all, no matter what the team says, don't believe them. And second of all, well, seriously, don't believe them.
Yeah.
Allow your eyes to tell the truth and your knowledge. I mean, if you're a football fan, you've seen this before. How many times do you have to be lied to? And look, it's, as I've said, it's sports lying. It doesn't make these people bad people,
No.
but they lie for a living. Correct. And so don't believe what they're telling you, because the depth chart is what the depth chart is. And to me, the most interesting takeaway now from this entire thing is McCarthy done here? That to me is really intriguing. And then if he is, I really want the Albert Breer play-by-play of what happened. Give me the play-by-play, baby, because it's not 10 games.
I know Doogie has to go, so just last 30 seconds here, Doogs, to put a bow on it, and then we can send you on your way here.
Scout Steve Sabo was at the Georgia Pro Day on Wednesday. So, yeah, while the Vikings had a big representation at the Gophers Pro Day on Wednesday, I was over at the Gophers facility on Wednesday, saw KOC, Brian Flores, Wes Phillips was there, a number of scouts. Did not see Brzezinski, did not see Grigson, did not see Munnin. So the higher-ups in the front office know, but they had a number of college scouts there, plus head coach, DC, OC. So there was a good Vikings representation on campus on Wednesday. But Steve Sabo, college scout, was at Georgia Pro Day on Wednesday. A reminder, the Vikings will host draft prospects at TCO Performance Center April 9th and 10th.
Yeah. Darren Doogie Wolfson, everyone, from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. Thanks for chiming in. Vikings quarterback room is one of the more interesting rooms once again in the NFL, and we'll see how the next several months progress. Doogs, we'll talk again next week, man.
Love you, boys. Take it easy.
All right, buddy. Darren Doogie Wolfson, Purple Daily. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.